Hello there, and welcome back to the Surrogate Dad Podcast. Been a while. As I mentioned, I was on the Camino de Santiago doing a pilgrimage across Spain, and that was quite an experience. Quite an experience. Took me 7 weeks. Usually takes most people 5, 6, but I went a little too hard at first, and I injured my foot and injured my shins, and I had to take a few extra days off. And then it took a few days to visit the nice cities. So, anyways, I'm back. It took me a few weeks to get organized and get my jet lag and all that stuff out of me and get organized, but we're back at her. Dad's back in the saddle. And actually, today's episode, I'm going to do an episode based on 4 young gentlemen I met on my second last day in the Camino. The Camino is a powerful, powerful experience. You meet a lot of people and you hear a lot of stories and powerful stories. Powerful stuff make you cry. Really, really. So I encourage it. If you get a chance, walk the Camino de Santiago one day, meet some people, hear the stories, share in their lives, and it's really powerful experience. And on my second last day, as I was walking toward the town of Amanal, which is just before Santiago de Compostela, I met 4 young gentlemen. I want to dedicate this episode to you gentlemen, Ricardo, Marco, Peter, and Nico. Hopefully you'll see this episode one day. I met them when we walked, and we had to part ways just as I got to my hostel, my albergue, kilometro 15, or kilometer 15, at the town of Amanal. And so before we parted ways, we were talking about how tough it is for young men these days. It's a very, very difficult world for young men for a lot of reasons. And I'll be straight up and not, certainly one of the reasons is the way an ideology that's gotten a hold of a lot of people these days, and it's really, really tough. And these, 4 fine young gentlemen, we had a great discussion. They were absolute gentlemen. They were last day of high school, and so the high school got all the students in grade 12 to go on the last 100 kilometers of the Santiago de Compostela. And so these young gentlemen are spending their last days together before they separate, life separates, and they go their own ways. And of course, their whole class were in other high schools. When you walk the Santiago de Compostela Camino, you only have to walk 100 kilometers and you get the certificate. Dad walked the whole thing, 780. And so these young gentlemen were walking 115 kilometers, I think, and we met and we chatted about how difficult it is for them in this world. And so I want to dedicate this to all of you young men, young women who realize how tough this world and how unfair this world can be. So that's today's episode, and I'm dedicating it to you 4 fellows, you fine young gentlemen, and I wish you all the best in your lives. And I know you'll do well because you're fine gentlemen. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, that basically, before we get to the topic, remember, like, share, support the podcast. I haven't got my support site up yet, but that'll get it up soon. And if you have any ideas for any topics you want me to discuss, plop them into the email address there and send them off to me. We're just getting started. Still got a very, very small listener base. So if you put an idea forward, it's not going to be a long time. You'll probably be the first one in line. So, all right. So let's get to today's episode. And basically we're calling it Life is Tough. And life is tough and it's not fair. And there's a lot of angry people in this world. And those angry people sometimes tend to blame other people. They don't blame themselves, and they're gaining a lot of traction in today's world. So the first thing I want to say is you got to accept it. First thing you got to do is look in the mirror and acceptance. Life is tough. Life is particularly tough for young folks right now, and it's just not fair. And no one ever said it's going to be fair. And the sooner you can get up in the morning and realize that it's not fair, but I'm going to do what I can do. I'm going to do the best I can do. That's the first step. And remember, don't be like others. Don't blame other people. Look to yourself first. Always look to yourself. Say, what can I do? How can I improve my life? Sure, there's times when other people have something to do with with some misfortunes. No question, that happens in life. But we can't ruminate on that. You know, when you blame others, you're only hurting yourself, you're not hurting them. So always look in the mirror in any situation. How can I improve? How can I make it better? And that leads directly to the second lesson. No pity parties. I know life is tough and some tough things are going to happen. You got to put on your big boy pants, your big girl pants. And like I said, don't blame others. Look to yourself first. Always look to yourself. What can I do? How can I improve my life? And we're going to give you some, I'm just starting with the generals, and then I'm going to get into more specific things here. And that leads to the third lesson. Don't let anger or hate take a hold of you. Those are destructive emotions, and it's easy to hate people who do destructive things. It's easy to hate them. Don't hate them. You know, really have sympathy for those people. Like, they've got one life to live, and they're letting the wrong emotions take hold of them. They're letting the wrong thoughts go through their minds, and they've only got one life to live, and it's not going to be the best life it could be because they've made some bad decisions. Don't have empathy. You can't jump into the pit with them. Have sympathy for them, feel for them. But don't hate them and don't agree with them. So there you go. And now before I get into some of the specific stuff, never, ever, ever give up. No matter what, never give up. Winston Churchill said it best, and I encourage you, there's a little booklet, there's probably more than one, of Churchill quotes. And Winston Churchill, who is now being counseled, or they're trying to counsel him, this is unbelievable what is wrong with some people, but a powerful, powerful man, and he had some of the best quotes ever. He was funny. There was a story, and I may get the details not exactly right, but he was in Parliament. He was in British Parliament during the war. He was Prime Minister. And some woman MP said to him, "Sir, if you were my husband, I'd give you strychnine." Strychnine being a poison. And of course, Churchill, always quick on his feet, he said, "Ma'am, if you were my wife, I'd take strychnine." So he was a quick thinker. But you know, he said it best. I mean, the most simple one and just straight to the point. Churchill said something to the effect of, never, ever, ever, ever give up. So, you know, that says so few words have never said so much. He said another one, and this one really caught me because when I first heard this one, I was in a rut myself. And it brought me out of the rut, but it was, a rut is nothing more than an open-ended grave. And, you know, that was powerful. And that brought me out of my rut that I was in some years back. So get a book of quotes from Churchill. Powerful, powerful. So, all right. So there's some of the general things. And these are not things you can just tell yourself once and it's better. These are things you have to tell yourself every day. It's proven psychological, it's proven science how our brains work. And our brains can get into these negative spirals where the brain is trying to protect us, and these negative thoughts come in, and negative thoughts, once they take hold, they feed off of other negative thoughts, and they get into a spiral down. And the only way to get out of a spiral down is a spiral up, and that takes time. And so these are things you have to tell yourself every day, sometimes numerous times a day, and slowly it takes hold. So first one is, no matter what you're doing, no matter where you are, do your best. At your job, with other people, no matter what you're doing, do your best. Especially at work, especially at your job, do the best you can do. And part of doing the best you can do is think ahead. Think to tomorrow. Think how I can do this better. Think how I can do my job better. How can I always be improving in what I'm doing? And you know, you're going to think for weeks or months, you're going to think, you know, nobody's noticing, the boss isn't noticing. I can assure you, every single thing you do, the boss will notice. Every single thing you do. He may not tell you, or she may not tell you for weeks or months, or she might tell you right away. They may not tell you for months, but they notice every single thing you do. And promotions or future advancements, that gets taken into account. On the topic of your job, here's another one. Start early, finish late. Come into work 5 or 10 minutes early. Come into work 15, 20 minutes early once in a while, half an hour. Stay 5 minutes late. Every day, 5 minutes late. Never leave as soon as you can leave. Always leave 5 minutes late, some days 10 minutes late. If something needs doing but your shift is over and it takes you 10 minutes, do it. Yeah, but no buts. Listen to your father. Listen to dad. Start early, finish late. What's 10 minutes a day? And that is going to get noticed. That will get noticed for sure. And I know we live in a world where some of these ideologies are taking place, and your job may be the kind of job that you can do nothing you can do will get you ahead. That's possible. But things change. And this craziness that we're in the midst of will end. It will end. Nothing good always prevails in the end. And this kind of stuff is a house built on sand. And one day it will end. And if it doesn't end in this job, it'll end at your next job. So do all these things. Start early, finish late. Even if you can't get ahead in this job, the next job, you'll be noticed. Your boss might give you a referral, a recommendation. And speaking of which, that leads to the next piece of advice Dad wants to give you here. Stay at your job. Stay at that dead-end job. Now, it's going to sound crazy, but you got to hear me out. You don't take the next better job that comes along. The grass always looks greener on the other side, and most of the time it's not greener. So stay at that job. If another job comes along, it may look greener, but it's probably not greener. You know, you've got to do your homework. Dad doesn't want, I don't want you turning down a good job. You got to do your homework, any opportunities that come along. But unless there's a clear and present obviousness that this next position is definitely better, stay at the job you're at. And certainly don't quit just because you don't like it or you're mad one day and then you go home, you got nothing to do, you got no job. Couple things. It's a lot harder to find a job when you don't have one. That is very difficult to do. So stay with the job you're at. And the second thing is, when that other job comes along, you're going to really want it to look greener, and you're going to be biased in your evaluation of that next job. You're going to want it so bad to be better. So you've got to be very, very careful to take your emotions out of it. When that next job comes along and you're evaluating it, try really hard to be unbiased, because you're going to want that job to be better. So there's some advice about the job. Now, here's some advice for you no matter what you do, whether it's work or whether it's school, and that is, don't cheat. At work, at school, in life in general, your friends, don't cheat. Now, there are very, very limited times in the world where maybe there's a valid reason to cheat. But here's the problem with cheating. Once you've convinced yourself once that, well, this time it's okay to cheat, the next time it's a little easier. And the next time it's a little easier. And pretty soon you've gone from here over to here as a person. And you're like, one day you're going to wake up and go, how did I get here? How did I become this kind of a person? One decision at a time. So that's the thing about cheating. The best advice is don't cheat. Now, Dad mentioned education. Let's talk a bit about education. Why not go back to school while you're working? Go back and take some upgrade courses, or better yet, sit there and think and say, what career would I really like? And maybe go back to school. But Dad, I'm 25, I'm 30. Go back to school. So what? This many years have gone, you got a lot more years in front of you yet. Make them the best they can be. If there's a valid reason to go back to school for something you really want to do it. If you're not sure, then just take upgrader courses, maybe to help you with your current job, maybe to help you in some area you might think you want to help, or maybe general improvement. And there's a great new university online. They're not accredited yet. You may be aware of them. It's a well-known figure, and of course the people with the nutty ideologies don't like him. I'm talking about Peterson Academy, of course, Jordan Peterson. If you haven't checked out Peterson Academy online, they'll probably one day soon be an accredited university. They've got fantastic courses with fantastic world-class instructors. The only problem is right now it's very limited. It's mostly humanities, a little bit of sciences, but they're adding new courses every month, something like 3 or 4 new courses every month, and they're expanding their offering. The cost is cheap, very inexpensive, but it's a fantastic education. And there may be other online institutions you can go to. You don't have to go there. You can go to actual universities that are already accredited. You can go to other ones that more directly fit what you want to do, or you can quit your job entirely and go back to school. Now that's a big decision. And before you do something like that, you're going to really analyze that. If you're going to go back to school, how big of a commitment is this going to be? What's it going to cost in terms of time and money? If you've got a young family going, how is my family going to get through this to the end? And how am I going to, me and my spouse or my partner or whoever I'm with, how are we going to stay motivated? It's a big decision, big decision. But I encourage you, if it's worthwhile, find a way to make it happen. Just make sure you do your homework. There's nothing worse than making a huge decision like that, going all in, and 6 months later saying, well, that was a wrong decision. That's big stuff. So you got to be very, very careful. When I talked about thinking ahead in the job, you got to think ahead. You got to plan ahead with all these things. So there's Dad's advice in dealing with this really tough world. We've got some general stuff, some specific stuff, but this is big stuff. It sounds like, gee, Dad, 15 minutes. That's my talk. That's going to change my life. Yes, it will. The last thing I want to add is read. Read, read, read. Read good self-improvement. Read books in your area of study. Just read books that improve you as a human being. And perhaps Dad'll do a lesson on some good books. Maybe that might be a good session to do soon here. I gotta do change a tire. I gotta get that one finished. I've been promising that one for a while. So be an avid reader. Read some good fiction. There's some powerful fiction out there that has life lessons in it. There's a lot of junk fiction, and sometimes junk fiction's a good read. Just to relax. Read some good self-improvement, and just become an avid reader. All right. So there you go. And needless to say, this stuff takes time. You've got to keep at it. This is the kind of stuff, the world's tough, and it's going to be tough every day, and I don't know how much longer it's going to be tough, maybe the rest of our lives. This could be a while. We're in a big fight right now. The world's in a bad place, and it's tough for you young folks. And so these are things you have to do every day. Now, one more thing I'll add, and I'll talk about it more in other sessions. It's too big a topic to talk about today, but one of the big things is that we all want to own our own home one day, and so Dad's already got it in the works plan. I'm going to do one on buying a home, different things to help you to get a home even in the tough times like this. So that'll be another lesson. So watch for that one. But anyways, there you go. We'll leave it at that. Remember, every day, make it a plan every day. Get a day timer and plan this stuff into your day, and never, ever, ever give up. Never, ever, ever give up. You can do it. The world's tough, but you are tougher, and Dad knows. All right? That's it. Remember, Dad loves you, and listen to your mother. We'll see you next time.